let's have some representation in the back. Yeah, ooh, way in the back, with 4 fingers in the air. Yeah, I saw you.
This is for the 2 actresses. What are you currently working on?
Well, Shifa and I, earlier in the summer, have finished a movie called Yes, We're Open, directed by Rich Wong, written by H.P. Mendoza, that will have a healthy Asian American couple in it. So I finished that. I just finished the sequel to Surrogate Valentine, which is the centerpiece film tomorrow, and Surrogate Valentine is actually going to be on video on demand November 1st, and you'll be able to. That is wonderful that you'll be able to access this film with another. Well, I wouldn't call them a couple, but an Asian male lead and a female lead who like each other, and you know, it's going to be all across the country. You'll be able to access it on Netflix, and that's exciting.
And it won an award too. Sorry.
Oh yes, last night we won an award. We won the grand jury prize. That's progress.
Yes, did this movie with Lynn, which I'm very excited about. It's really fun. And then I did a couple other movies. I did this one movie called The Wisdom Tree, where I play a neurologist who saves the world. Very important.
Weren't you a doctor? You're a doctor.
I played a doctor, yes. I played a neurologist, yeah. And it's very sci-fi, new age, really interesting. One of those scripts where I had to read it a few times because I didn't get it. And I was like, whew, okay, let me figure this out. And that was exciting. And then I did a movie called Rain, which is a really intense movie that we shot with Kimberly Jensen's the director, and Jack Green, who is Clint Eastwood's DP from Unforgiven and several other movies, came and shot it with us with his crew because he loved the script so much. And I play a refugee that has an encounter with the Marines that just is kind of a human story about war that you don't necessarily see that much, which I'm really proud of. And then I have a movie out right now called Three Veils that's doing the festival circuit, and we're really happy. It's been winning Best Film at almost every festival we've been to, which is great, and it will be out later this year.
Three Veils, okay. All right, let's see, the woman right here in the middle with her, yeah, you.
So in the documentary, Elaine, you talked about the browning of faces and the whitening of character, and that's something that I'm really interested in discussing in regards to multiracial, or this representation of a multiracial, I guess, like cast, while the actors are still, like, while we don't really interrogate the power of whiteness. So I was wondering if y'all could just like talk about like how to have a movie that not is only multiracial in character, but also includes like that, I guess, kind of challenges like whiteness. Sorry, that was inarticulate.
No, it was. I got stuck on the y'all. I'm like, oh, tell you what.
Well, I'm thinking about a few projects in the last couple of years where they were specifically casting for actresses and actors who are Hapa. One of them is at the film festival, Knots, directed by Michael Kang and written and starring Kimberly Rose Walter. And I just love that, you know, there are these films that exist where they're actually talking about what it's like to grow up Hapa, and not just shoving somebody like, I don't even know her name, the woman from Kristen, anyone? Superman? Is it? Oh, yeah, Kristen Krug. You know, in a role and saying that she's, or Lindsay Price, you know, this has happened. I remember growing up watching TV and them saying like, she's Asian American. Her parents are both Asian, and I'm like, well, that's not right. So, you know, lately I have been seeing projects that are specifically about people who come from multiracial backgrounds, and I love that. It's less opportunity for me, but I'm glad that it's happening. But I don't think that answered your question. That was your question.
Does it help, I hope?
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Awesome. Sir, in the middle. I'll get you in a second.
I believe it's Greg Goya. So I'm an educator like yourself, and much like in entertainment, educators face the stereotype of not being leaders. And I see the two of you as really being leaders in groundbreaking roles and showing the complexity of Asian American women in roles. We talk a lot about mentorship because there's like 1% of Asian Americans are presidents of institutions. And so my question is about mentorship. And so do you have mentors in the industry that you go to when you get a script or you want to talk about your craft? And then recognizing that I see you as groundbreakers, are you often the mentors for folks coming through? And so talk about the pipeline and mentorship in the field.
I will say that when I was starting out, and I moved to New York, I went to NYU when I was 18, and I was in an amazing acting program. And then when I graduated, and I had the best experience ever, and then I graduated, and I was really surprised at the fact that all this stuff was coming up, all these questions, all these stereotypes, all these little boxes that they want to put you in. I didn't know the business side of it. So I didn't realize that me looking a certain way was going to be a thing. Like when you're in school, you just do the parts that you're working on, and that's all that should really matter. And it was merit-based, let's say. And now we're in an industry that is as far from merit-based as you can get. And so I had nobody that was having a similar struggle when I was first starting. There was maybe 5 of, South Asian Americans working at the time. And so I unfortunately made really poor decisions and got thrown in some terrible situations, and found in that time to find some really great friends that were also just actors that, you kind of grow up in this industry together. That for me became my pipeline of just support, because it's really hard to find anyone that really understands what you're going through, which is why I make a point, actually, not that I have the answers, but I do mentor and I do speak all the time to kids. And I have several mentors that I'm in a program that I do this for, and I wish that I had even anybody I could call and say, what do you do about this? Because it is really hard, and I think that comes from just also the fact is, we just got here, this immigrant community. We're the first generation that's kind of grown up and are now dealing with issues that our parents, obviously, they're not doing what we're doing now. So for me, it's really important to have a support staff, a support system is what I mean, actually. And so for me, the people I go to are my friends that I respect. And I do think it's really important to make it easier for anyone else that's going through this.
I don't know if I'd call it specifically mentorship. I don't know if we have officially labeled it as that, but I remember that when I first started acting, I was living in New York, and it felt very much like the other Asian American actors that I was auditioning alongside, that we were very much against one another. That, because it was all for one role, and, we just wouldn't talk to each other. We weren't friends. We were just like, I hope you don't get it.
Survivor.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're not in this to make friends. And that was like just the general vibe, but that also could have been because I was very young and naive. But I did find, when I first moved to Los Angeles, it was right after Saving Face, and actually San Diego this film festival was one of the first places where I got to meet all of these actors who I had watched. I met Dustin Nguyen. I met the entire cast of Better Luck Tomorrow. And in the years that have followed, through film festivals like this one, and just, living in the same area, and we see each other all the time, we've become such close friends that, they're the ones that I turn to get advice about the industry or about scripts I'm considering, or projects to work on with one another. A lot of the times we want to work with people we know and people we trust, which is why I've worked on 3 projects with Sheila. Actually, we're about to do another one too. We're not going to talk about that. It's still in the works. But, things like this come up because we've created this community for ourselves. And part of that, I don't know if I would officially consider myself a mentor, but, whenever somebody new is coming into the industry and they want to talk to me about it or want to work with me, I don't consider myself really an expert. I just consider myself somebody who's done this a lot, but I feel like I learn a lot from people who are new to this industry just as much as I feel like it's very reciprocal. So, yeah.
Thank you. There was a question. Yes, right over here.
I wanted to, I guess, backtrack to when we were talking about this explosion of alternative media and YouTube, and I think that that's great. But does it set up this dichotomy of alternative media versus Hollywood? And is it problematic that for me as an Asian American woman, when I turn on the TV or I see a big Hollywood film, I am not going to see myself represented? Or as the film Slaying the Dragon Reloaded was saying, is the audience going to be in on the joke if that's happening? And so I'm wondering, do you find that problematic at all, that we have to kind of hunt for these movies and they're not reaching the same audience level that a mainstream, quote, Hollywood film will reach? And do you think that you touched on it briefly about the CEOs and who they think are going to be relatable, but do you think that Hollywood will ever sort of catch up to what we're seeing in alternative media?
I think they have already. I know a couple people who have fostered deals with major networks just based on the sheer number of their YouTube subscribers that wouldn't have had the opportunity otherwise. It's funny, like on reality TV, I feel like is one of the most colorblind places where you can just see people on cooking shows, creating designs. I mean, the fashion industry, there are so many designers out there who are Asian, who they don't put Asian designer before their name, and that's the place where I would like us to get to. But I think that those opportunities are arising because the whole new media thing is so new, and that's why it's called new media. And people don't really know exactly how to make it work. So right now is a good time to keep on going with that, so that people are paying attention. People are paying attention.